G'day folks. Well, tonight we are going to look at a rather heavy duty gurney pressure washer. This is just as I found it at the yard. Well, they put it aside for me in the Ed pile. It's always nice having people there, you know, because they put stuff like this aside. Even nasty little TV and things. All that was free. But it's genuine gurney. Got nice big cylinders. Right, this is a serious single phase pump. Big capacitor start run motor. I'm hoping that's the only problem with it. It had oil in the reservoir, not an awful lot, but it was upside down when they found it, so a lot of it's drained out through the hole. It's all over the cap. But it looks nice and clean inside, it's not chewed up, the oil's not black. It turns, I've turned it by hand and it does spit a bit of water out of the discharge line, and it's turning now. So it is working. There's no real point where it locks up. So it should be sort of salvageable, at least if there is some wear and tear or other problem with it. For starters, I'm going to take this frame off, 4 bolts on the underside. That's where the drum of chemical or cleaner goes. You can screw it onto a plastic drum and just siphon cleaner through the system. But yeah, it's quite interesting. It's like a check valve. Got the mains in. It's awful dirty, but not visibly broken or mangled. Decent sized motor. MT motor. There's no plate on it to tell me what horsepower it is, but I'll probably find one. So let's get this frame off. Maybe even drag it back outside and give it a wash. Well, considering a worst case scenario and the pump is shagged, it would be a simple matter just to unbolt it and use this thing for another project. If you just envisage a hydraulic pump in place of it, then my hydraulic power unit is pretty much done. We've got a ballsy single phase motor, which is what I need. We've got a flexible rubber disc coupling, or a Lovejoy coupling, or whatever's under that shroud. And we've got a mounting place for a pump. So we can piss all this framework off permanently and mount this base on top of the hydraulic oil tank that I've got, or better yet underneath it so that it primes through gravity. Just put caster wheels on the bottom of this, have some uprights for the tank sitting on top, and you've got yourself a little portable wheeled power unit. I'll just get some hydraulic hoses made up with snap-on fittings so you can snap onto a cylinder or hydraulic motor, whatever you want to run, and away you go. Probably end up finding a manual valve block for it too. Electric valve blocks are cool, but you don't really get any variation. The more you pull the lever back, the more pressure you get, whereas hydraulic or electric valves, it's either on or off, and you're relying on a pressure regulator or something to control any pressure in the system. But yeah, that's Project B is a good hydraulic unit, but at the moment Project A is a good washing unit, pressure cleaner. And at the right time, one's come along. Okay, well, first problem is the bolts on the bottom aren't really bolts, they're just studs. These brackets are, well, the frame's welded to the base, so I'm not going to cut it off just to work on it, so that stays in place for now. The other thing is, this smells like gearbox oil, like automotive gearbox or differential oil, so I'm guessing it's probably gearbox oil. I'm not sure where the level's supposed to be, although I think it's embossed on that side of the thing there. So it's actually supposed to be up in here, which is kind of odd because I'd expect to have a airspace inside the crankcase, but then again it's probably designed to be completely sealed. So we'll work that one out later. I might even just Google it. I don't have a model number on this yet to Google, but serial number there. What is it? 4510-21087. It's about the only number I can find at the moment. There's a plate on top of the motor, but I'll have to get my little mirror and see what that says. Probably about 2 horsepower, I'd say. So yeah, pump does turn. I'll take this shroud off and just turn it over a few times by hand and see what it does. Then we'll move on to testing the electric motor. I doubt they would have thrown away a good pump unit if the motor was just dead, because they could get another motor or get that one rewound pretty easy. So either way, it won't be too hard replacing it. I've got plenty of motors. Okay, well, hence the frame design. It is a ASEA motor. I don't know what MT means, but it must be a series that they put out. It's 1.5 kilowatts. I'm not going to be able to show you the tag, but 1.5 kilowatts at 1,420 RPM. So it's a 4-pole motor. 240 volt 50 hertz, of course, single phase, 80 microfarad start capacitor, 40 microfarad run capacitor. Really easy. So I'm going to get into that first and just make sure the motor's alright. Then I'll wire a lead on it and see how we go. I'll probably end up getting this motor rewound if it is faulty. The guy who put it aside at the scrapyard is a master rewinder, so I've got no problem paying him to do it, or better yet, he'll teach me at his shop. I'm going to do a video on how to rewind an electric motor. There we go. It's not classed as cheating if someone's already cut the top off before you. You can clearly see grinding marks where people have done it before simply to get to the motor. Otherwise you have to undo the coupling and unbolt the motor to get it out and then wire the power lead onto it. It's a lot easier just to cut that off 4 welds and then weld it back on again. It looks like there's been a bit of water in here too. Windings look healthy, like when you get the light on them down through the hole they don't look burnt or damaged. That starting switch or potential relay or whatever it is has obviously had a lot of water in it. So it'll be interesting. I'll be willing to bet maybe this is the problem. All I can do is clean it up, pull these leads out and just put a multimeter across them. And that's the reset switch there, which wasn't tripped. Alright, well it ohmed up sort of alright. I couldn't really tell if it was short or faulty, but we'll see what happens when I turn the switch over. Ooh, works. Can't run it too long though, but it does work. Sounds rough as guts, but it's working. Oh, I got water hooked up to it, so I'll turn it on and see what happens. Seems it's working. Doesn't sound very happy. Doesn't sound very happy. Okay, well, despite the low oil level, the pump still feels and runs pretty well. The main problem, I think, is the motor. It's not starting and running properly. Bearings are stuffed. Like, noisy as hell, but just the angry noises I'm getting from it ain't very promising. Doesn't sound like it's running at full speed, and it sounds like the windings are fighting themselves. So I'm going to have to strip this down and just see what's going on. It could just be the relay is not switching over to run. It's had a lot of water through it, so maybe the relay is stuffed. I'm hoping that's all it is. Otherwise, yeah, maybe rebuild motor time. Either way, I'm going to strip it down and give it my rebuild. But if the windings are damaged or shorted out, then I'll have to get it rewound. But the pump feels alright. Just turning it over by hand, there's no grinds or crunches, the oil's very nice and clean. I'll get some manual transmission gearbox oil tomorrow and replace this cap because that's just all broken down into nothing. It's all crap. But it is nice and clean inside. There's enough oil in there to cover the cam lobe. The oil level is about there. So there's enough to cover the cam lobe and everything, and just through spray it's been lubricating itself. So I have no reason to believe that the pump would be stuffed. But the angry noises that this motor's making as it fights itself indicates that it's probably using most of its horsepower under load to fight itself and not water pressure. So we fix this motor first. Either way, if I fix it I can use it for other things, even if the pump is stuffed. So let's strip this motor down. Oh, flange is off. It's got to be one of the hardest flanges to remove. I even buckled my big one. These metal plates are supposed to be straight, but I ended up twisting it all. In the end, a lot of heat and this got it off. But it turned blue hot. Just trying to cool it down at the moment. It's smoking hot. So I'm going to clean that one up and get the rust out of the bore. Thing is, they never used a shaft key. I think they just pressed it on. Even the motor shaft's pretty hot. Yeah, there's no key. They just drove the grub screw in there. That's one tight flange. Oh well, at least I can pull this thing to bits now. And always remember to discharge the start capacitor before you touch anything. They will kill you if they are fully charged when you touch it. Especially if there's a fault with the motor and nothing is discharged. Just, yeah, short them out across the terminals. Should get a nice spark if they're still charged. Alright, well the motor's apart. The windings look really nice. There's no burning, there's no sign of overheating or damage. All the mylar's intact. Definitely a bit of rust because it's had water in it. You can see down the bottom. But with Class F installation it should be able to handle it, and it did ohm up alright. I haven't got a mega meter to test it properly. Bearings are definitely stuffed. Rocky as hell. Oop, I'm trying to hit the camera. Yeah, you get the idea. It wasn't happy. So, I'm going to give this stator a bit of a clean up. Probably replace these caps anyway. I've got new caps on the shelf. Start relay is the only thing I'm not sure about, so I might pull that out and clean it, check it out. But first of all, I'm going to strip this down and do the bearings. We'll get the main motor assembled, because I know the windings look good. Get all that reassembled and then look at the capacitors and the start relay. But I'll do that tomorrow. So thanks for watching.